It was just wild. It's really hard to explain it to an outsider. These cryptocurrencies just kept going up in value, just every single one. It didn't matter which one you bought, it just went up. And turning $30,000 into over $1 million in the space of 10, 11 months, it was hard to get your head around. I was very lucky and I got in early, and it wasn't going to stop at $1 million. I was going to make 5, 10 million. It didn't work out like that, but I just got swept up in it all. The first time I bought Bitcoin was back in 2012. One of my friends phoned me up and said, Pete, there's this website you can buy drugs. It's like Amazon, but for drugs. Weed, heroin, cocaine, crack, like every single drug you could think of. I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy some weed. But I had to get some Bitcoin. So I went on to local Bitcoins and then I bought some weed. And it was a bit like, this is mental. And then at the end of 2016, my mother, sadly, she was dying. She had ovarian cancer, and we wanted to treat her with cannabis oil. I bought some Bitcoin and went back and bought some cannabis oil for her. And sadly, it was too late. Mum died in early 17, and I was just sat at my dad's house in Ireland, and I'd gone to sell this Bitcoin back, and then when I went to sell it back, there was this other thing called Ethereum. I was like, oh, what's that? Did some Google searches, and it seemed to me like there was this new flourishing crypto industry, whereas before it was just Bitcoin when back in 2012, 13.
Ethereum is the do-it-yourself platform for decentralized programs, also known as dApps, decentralized applications.
And I was like, okay, this sounds kind of interesting. I think I'm going to invest and I'm going to try trading. And I did, and spent probably at least a year, close to a year trading. It's got a kind of a wild year, really. I put $32,000, I think £25,000 at the time in. I bought a bunch of Bitcoin and a bunch of Ethereum, and the Ethereum I bought was like $9 when I bought it, and then it rockets up to $150, and I bought all these other cryptocurrencies, and I've never made so much money in my life. There were some days you'd go to bed and you wake up, you've made $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. You're like, what the hell's going on here? It was a wild year. I think at its peak, I traded that, $32,000 up to equivalent of about $1.2 million in equity in the cryptocurrencies I owned. It was really hard to pick a losing coin back then. We suddenly got a lot of money. It gives you a lot of freedom. And I was traveling out to America a lot. I bought a new car. I bought a watch. I was treating my family to things. I was giving money to my family. I was going out to dinner. I was just living this really kind of good life. And maybe I'm an absolute idiot. Maybe I should have recognized it. Maybe I got greedy. I just wasn't overthinking it. Honestly, to answer how I was going to spend the money, truthfully, it's really embarrassing. You just sound like a dick. Genuinely, I made an inquiry to buy Bedford Town Football Club, which is where I live. It's just a small crap town. Our football team's crap. I always kind of thought, I want to own it. So I made an inquiry about buying that. Just stupid, moronic things, really. So I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just getting lucky, really. It's just fucking about on this thing, like a lot of people were, just going, well, I'll buy that and it's going up, and then I didn't know that these kind of markets went in cycles, and I wasn't prepared for the end of the market. And then I think it was January 2018, the market crashed, and the value of my cryptocurrency holdings just dropped quite heavily. But I kept thinking it would come back, but it didn't. It just kind of kept getting worse and worse and worse, and by mid 2018, pretty much everything I made had gone. So I had a very short period where I was like, oh god, this is dead. Oh fuck, I'm fucked up there. But there was no point I was like, fuck it, I'm done with this. I just became focused on Bitcoin. I just thought Bitcoin was just a really interesting technology. When you look at how people were managing to use it in, to avoid capital controls in certain countries, or they were using it to get money just into a country, or that kind of censorship resistant property that allows you to send it to people. I think what I learned coming back into the current cycle, because obviously if anyone's listening to this, they've probably seen that Bitcoin's at like nearly $60,000 again, and they're seeing this flying. There's a lot of interest. There is a similar level of excitement between now and 2017, and I'm sure 2013 as well, and the previous bull cycles. And I always think the excitement is people are getting rich. You can't pretend that's not happening. Some people out there are getting rich. If I owned all the Bitcoin I had at the peak, I would have over $10 million of Bitcoin right now. And look, I could dwell on it, but I kind of got over it pretty quickly when it happened. It's annoying, but I'm still okay. Yes, I wish I had that 10 million and I'd go buy a big house and a Lamborghini, but I don't, so, fuck it. I came into this cycle a lot better prepared to be patient and invest in a much more patient and controlled way. I'm only going to buy Bitcoin, and I'm going to do it at a decent price. I'm going to be very patient, and I'm going to hold this Bitcoin for a number of years. Discovering Bitcoin led me to starting a podcast, and that podcast has become something that's really lucky that so many people listen to it. Like, I'm just like some idiot from Bedford who started a podcast about Bitcoin with no real objective or plans at all. I'd have no training in economics. I'm not technical. I just started this podcast, and then it's like when you log into the charts and you see yourself at number one, and you see below you've got Bloomberg and BBC and the Financial Times. It's a real surreal moment. It's a bit kind of hard to take in. Sadly, I've never made a lot of money with Bitcoin, but I know a lot of people have, and I'm just going to go around to each of them and say, I need a bit of money from you and a little bit of money from you, and what a great story. We could turn Bedford into the Bitcoin football club, and we could try and get them in the Premier League. I'd love to do it. I don't know if it will happen. It'd be amazing if I could, though. It's just changed my life immeasurably. I'm pretty sure I'm going to fuck it up at some point, but before I do, I'm going to try and enjoy it as best I can.